New Madrid Seismic Zone earthquakes. We've just had a 3.8 earthquake strike near Memphis, Nashville, Tennessee. It's right on the Mississippi River, as we can see. The first thing we learned from Geology 101 is that every single river is a fault line. And of course, this is the Mississippi River, right there. You can see the Mississippi River. A little bit to the north, you have the Great Lakes, the St. Lawrence River. Basically, this is the New Madrid Seismic Zone, and we have, it should have been called New Madrid Rift Zone, actually, because this is what is shaking, and in millions of years in the future, it could end up something like the Great Rift Valley of Africa, Madagascar, that came off Africa. And we see that basically the United States is splitting into three: the East Coast, the center, and the West Coast. So this is what's happening here. We have a 3.8 magnitude earthquake. We've had smaller earthquakes. We've had one just northeast of Little Rock today, 1.9 magnitude. And we've had 2.1 magnitude a few days ago. And in Mill Creek, Illinois, 1.6 2 days ago, and 1.9 a few days ago. All these around today's earthquake of 3.8. Now, the tectonic summary. The New Madrid Seismic Zone, earthquakes of southeast Missouri and adjacent states, is the most seismically active in North America, east of the Rockies. During the winter of 1811-1812, three very large earthquakes devastated the area and were felt throughout most of the nation. They occurred a few weeks apart on December 16, January 23rd, and February 7. Hundreds of aftershocks, some severely damaged by themselves, continued for years, damaging earthquakes. Prehistoric earthquakes similar in size to those of 1811 and 12 occurred in the middle 1400s and around 900 AD. Strong, damaging earthquakes struck the southwest end of the seismic zone near Marked Tree, Arkansas in 1843, estimated to be magnitude 6.3, and the northeastern end of Charleston, Missouri in 1894, magnitude 6.6. Since 1900, moderately damaging earthquakes have struck the seismic zone every few decades. About twice a year, people feel still smaller earthquakes that do not cause damage. Now, these earthquakes were felt by roughly 250 people reported it to the U.S., 254 people, so thousands must have felt it. Now, earthquakes in the central and eastern U.S. are typically felt over a much broader region than in the western U.S., east of the Rockies. An earthquake can be felt over an area as much as 10 times larger than a similar magnitude earthquake on the west coast. A magnitude 4 eastern U.S. earthquake like this one typically can be felt at many places as far as 60 miles from where it occurred, and it infrequently causes damage near its source. A magnitude 5.5 eastern U.S. earthquake usually can be felt as far as 300 miles from where it occurred, sometimes causing damage as far away as 25 miles. Now, earthquakes everywhere occur in faults within bedrock, usually miles deep. The earthquakes of the New Madrid Seismic Zone occur within a large network of faults called the Real-Foot Rift. The rift formed about 500 million years ago when this region was stretched in the northwest-southeast direction along a northeast-southwest zone at least 70 kilometers, 40 miles wide, 300 miles long. The Rockies in the rift were slowly dropped down about, the rocks in the rift dropped down about 1 mile along some of the faults. And now the region is undergoing east-west shortening, and the ancient faults of the Real-Foot Rift are being reactivated to generate earthquakes, they said. Today, the Real-Foot Rift and the New Madrid Seismic Zone are 1,200 miles from the nearest plate boundary, which is in the Caribbean Sea. The network of faults in the seismic zone is buried beneath hundreds of thousands of feet of sand and mud. 4 of the largest faults are recognized as alignments of abundant small earthquakes and movements along 2 of these fault-dammed rivers and created lakes during the earthquake of 1811 and 12. A few more deeply buried faults were detected during oil and gas exploration, and a few small faults are known from geologic mapping. However, many earthquakes occur away from the known faults, and so there must be additional unknown faults that can generate earthquakes in the seismic zone. Accordingly, the best overall guide to seismic hazard in the New Madrid seismic zone is the earthquakes themselves. And as we said, the first thing you learn in Geology 101 is that every river is a fault line. And this was basically on the banks of the Mississippi River, between Jackson, Mississippi, and towards Missouri. So that's what's happening there. All of you there, please be alert, be careful. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.